Greetings and welcome to Pinball Help. Although again, today it is video game help. And if you've been watching the series of videos, I've been working on this Ms Pac-Man, trying to get it back in operation so it's going to go on location in a bar. This thing is an original game. It's been really beat up. If you followed the previous series, we discovered that the MPU board in here was not an original board. It was a modified Sega board with the Pac-Man stuff in it. And it was just giving us problems, so we decided we were going to replace it. I do have some original Pac-Man boards, Ms Pac-Man boards we could put in here, but I wanted to try something new. This is a new product called the Bitkit2. And you basically can connect, it connects to a computer via Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. I was able to get to it via Wi-Fi. You got to really hold there's not much of an antenna on this thing, so it's got to be right next to whatever wireless device, but it's able to connect to it. You can download game ROMs to it, and it runs the original game code. It's not an emulator. It runs the original game code. Really, you know, I guess it's better than an emulator. I guess it emulates obviously the original hardware, but anyway, it's a pretty neat little setup. And then I've got an adapter board here that connects to the from the JAMA out of the Bitkit into the original harness of the Ms Pac-Man. Now, this had already been retrofitted with a switching power supply, so it had bypassed all this stuff. And the cable wasn't long enough. I'm gonna basically fix all this, but I've got it in here. So I created a little terminal block so I could jack into it. And the power is jacked off of the power supply there into the adapter, and then it goes to the Bitkit. So let me show you how it's set up. So we'll start the game. Take a quick look, and it's got a bunch of different options. So I configured it to go right into the Bitkit menu, and it supposedly it supports quite a number of games initially. Now, it doesn't come with the ROMs; you have to source the ROMs yourself. But if you can get them and put them in here, and obviously you want to put them for games that you have the hardware and stuff to be able to do. So, but you can also set it to boot right into a game, which I'm going to talk with my client about that, whether he wants it to boot right into the game or not. But this is an unmodified Ms Pac-Man cabinet. I really don't want to modify it. I want it to be original. So it'll just boot in. You hit it, and then it just boots the original game code as it would be. And there it is. And this is a Ms Pac Plus, so I think it's a slightly modified version. I can also run the original version too. I think this is a little bit faster. I don't know. Let's see. So put a coin in, start it. Maybe it looks like, are the colors a little different? I don't know. Oh, it runs a little faster, right? I know there's versions of this Ms Pac-Man. Yeah, this is like a hyper version. Oh, look at that! So it's got Coke cans. Oh, a little bit different. I'll see if he wants to run this or he wants to run the original one. But let me show you how it works, how you configure it, right? So we'll turn the game off, turn it on, and then hold down the player 1 button. And then that goes into the options menu. So if this is on location, you can lock it out, so that the only way you can get to this options menu is if by power cycling the game, which may not always be easy or obvious. And then I can go in here and I can pick which games are in the system, and you can set different settings for each one of them. You can go in here, change the different options. You can move them around. See, I can select whether it boots into that particular game. And so when you turn it on, that's all it does, is it just runs that one game, which is kind of cool. And it seems to be, I just got it configured, and I just got the game ROMs, and I got it all updated. But it looks to be pretty cool. And it's got, you see, it's got these are some of the games it supports already. Pretty common games. It's got Jump Bug, which I love that stupid game, Jump Bug. I was going to reach out to the author and say, look, can you make sure this, can you do, add this to the compatibility? And wow, he's already got it. So he must be a fan of that game, because it's super obscure and it's stupid really fun and stupid in it, and I love it. So if you haven't played Jump Bug, check it out. It's just crazy. So there's a couple of different versions in here. Pac-Man, Pac-Man Plus, you know, Tapper, different things. So that's where we're at. Pretty neat. I'm going to just keep it. I'm going to keep it basically. And so the way it works is, you know, I'll set it up if he wants it to just boot right into the Ms. Pac-Man. So as far as you know, it doesn't look anything different from a regular Pac-Man. You basically turn the game on, and instead of going to the options menu, it'll go to your basic Ms. Pac-Man thing. I got set to Ms. Pac Plus, but I can change that. But he might like that. It looks like it's a slightly different game, giving a little bit of a different variety. So, but then the nice thing is you hold the player 1, player 2 buttons, and it'll go back to the options menu if you enable that. If you don't, it'll just reboot the game and it'll stay in the game. But this way you can go in and you can switch games if you want. And otherwise it works pretty well, and it's relatively foolproof. It works with the coins. It's basically labeled for home use only, but it will work in an operated environment. I think there is a way that somebody could defeat this if they could power cycle the game, go into the options menu, and then they could enable some features where you could turn it on free play. There's actually no free play on this, but there's a way that you can hit a certain combination of buttons and throw credits into the game. But unless you really know that, you know, nobody's going to be able to do it. Obviously, there's always backdoors to every kind of system, but this is a nice little thing that should work really well. So I'm pretty pleased with it. Now, the original monitor's in here, and it's in good condition. So I'm going to ask him if we want to swap it out or not, because we might just want to leave this thing in there because it looks pretty darn good. And why not, you know? Now, this game needs to be cleaned up a bit. Maybe the monitor needs to be centered and all of that. But, yeah, I think it'll be pretty cool. So there you have it. I don't know if I'll do another video on this unless there's anything major to discover. But I do like this Bitkit2. It's about $189, not cheap. Certainly a lot more expensive than one of those 60-in-1 boards that you can throw in here. But this thing, I've heard good stories about it being a lot more reliable and solid than those other things. And if you know anything about these games on location, they still make really good money. So you might as well put something decent in it, take care of it, because this is, as far as I know, the highest grossing game of all time in the history of games. Even Grand Theft Auto and all that, they have not drawn in as much money as Pac-Man. It's crazy. We're talking billions. It's crazy. I think that's correct. Anyway, that's it. Be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and until next time.